What's up? How you doing? Hope everybody had a great weekend. Today was like a chill weekend, chill day today. The weather, but still was a good day. All right, I'm gonna get started in about 2 minutes. Uh, Please like and subscribe and share. Um, Next week, I'll be doing a live with Molly. We're going to be discussing what's going on in Washington Park. Um, and then April 13th, I'll be speaking to my Harvey, Illinois family, and they'll be speaking about the corruption in Harvey and also the Southland area. So stay tuned for those. And uh, this week should be uh, should have a special interview. Hopefully, also Famous Friday is Friday coming up, and it is Alderman Desmond Yancey in the Fifth Ward. So that will be interesting. Actually, speaking of that, I really could start right there. Um, I received this email yesterday. Um, so, State Representative of the 25th District, Mr. Curtis J. Tarver II, um, sent an email to Secretary Quintero and Director Sturm. Secretary Dos Quintero is the Illinois Department of Human. He's the Secretary of the Illinois Department of Human Services, and then Director Alexis Sturm is she works in the Governor's Office of Management and Budget. So he writes, I am writing to formally notify you that I cannot in good faith support the funding for a proposed 750 bed homeless shelter, 4900 South DeSable, Lakeshore Drive in East Hyde Park, Kenwood. I have notified Speaker Welch as this relates to voting for the governor's proposed budget. While my office is sympathetic to the need for the comprehensive support for homeless Chicagoans, the City of Chicago and Illinois Department of Human Services pushed the proposal and funding forward without transparency, meaningful constituent engagement, or a clear plan to address the current problems of the temporary shelter. In the area immediately surrounding this shelter, residents have been identified and reported a marked increase in illegal sales, loitering, prostitution, and refuse in the neighborhood. Parents are clear that they no longer feel safe allowing their children to play outside. Rather than addressing these concerns, the City of Chicago and IDHS is now attempting to make the shelter permanent without any plan to mitigate these issues. Please remember that the City of Chicago provided less than 3 days' notice to the community before immediately moving hundreds of people into the hotels. Furthermore, the City of Chicago tripled the number of individuals it posted, at least initially posted, would be housed there. From the beginning, it has far surpassed any claim for providing humanitarian aid. For these reasons and the reasons below, I request the budget of 91,500,000 in funding slated for the One System initiative be withheld until neighborhood concerns are addressed and a plan inclusive of all voices is solidified. There has already been 22 million spent on this initiative, and we cannot support continued spending considering the current unaddressed problems. The city of Chicago needs specific oversight and not simply a blank check to exuberate the, the current problem. I also must state that it is reprehensible that while individuals have lived under the viaduct and the population is growing at 47th between Lake Park and Cornell, the state operated a hotel that prioritized new arrivals to the exclusion of others in need. I fail to see humanity in taking such an approach. As of March 19th, 2025, our office and residents have not been given access to any infrastructure analyst, environmental impact study, or public safety plan regarding the transition. If such studies have been conducted, they have been shared with the community. Despite repeated outreach attempts by the neighbors to the city of Chicago, they have been repeatedly met with no real details on the management or the transition of the temporary shelter to permanent status. The decision making process has been completely one sided, and forcing this project through without addressing the residents' already slated problems is unacceptable. The Chicago Police Department has confirmed that there has been an increase in illegal sales and prostitution in the area. In addition, residents have stated they have seen an increase in loitering in the neighborhood, which has led to an increase to rats, people sleeping on residents' doorsteps, trespassing on private property, open air mechanic car lots, and the general feeling that they can no longer allow their children to play outside. These problems are unacceptable, but even more so when examining how these concerns are disregarded and the project pushes forward. The inability of the city of Chicago and the IDHS to have a meaningful conversation with critical stakeholders on how to address these issues further solidifies my request to withhold funding. If we are going to make this neighborhood subject to this as a permanent fixture, we need to make sure the current problems with the temporary shelters are addressed, especially before proceeding to make this a permanent fixture. Furthermore, the logistics of placing 750 homeless individuals in a 115-room hotel simply do not make sense. Overcrowding at this scale is not sustainable or humane solution. Packing hundreds of people into an ill-equipped space does not serve anyone's best interest. Neither the residents of Hyde Park and Kenwood nor the individuals in the need of shelter. The residents of Hyde Park and Kenwood want to be part of a real compassionate solution to homelessness, one that prioritizes both those in need and the long-term stability of our neighborhoods. However, this proposal, as it stands, fails on all counts. Before any state funds are allocated, the city must conduct a full environmental and infrastructure impact study, engage in genuine dialogue with the community, and identify more suitable solutions to address the current problems the neighborhood has faced. I urge you to withhold funding for this project until these basic obligations are met. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to your response. Respectfully, Curtis J. Tarver II. All right. So let me break this down to y'all. Okay. First of all, no, it shouldn't be no money. Everything should stop until we get a forensic audit when it comes to all this. Because the fact that one initiative shelter system, everybody already knew that was BS because the Democratic Party, illegal immigration is big money, and they don't have nothing right now. Okay, so that's one of the problems. Another one of the problems is this is the second time. No, this would be the now they're making it permanent. But in 2022, 2022, 2023, when Lori Lightfoot was in office, um, Lori Lightfoot, the shelter that they're talking about is the Lakeshore Hotel. Okay, and the Lakeshore Hotel is currently, it's really a Ramada, and it's owned by this Indian by the name of R. Patel. There's not much on him or Lakeshore Hospitality. However, he is good. He's in good with the city. And I'm trying to put together is R. Patel, Ram Patel, and Chris Patel, which they have next gen hospitality, but they don't talk about any of this stuff. But anyway, Lakeshore Hotel, R. Patel is the person who owns it. And in 2022 and 2023, they received over $866,000 for like a total of like 6 months. Then Brandon, got in there. Then in October, that's when I met Mama Doris. There was a there was at the Promontory Hotel. At the Promontory, Yancey held a meeting, and the meeting, the meeting was about that same Lakeshore Hotel. They were bringing the migrants back. So it said Hyde Park divided over city plan to house migrants in Lakeshore Hotel. And Mama Doris was like, they were already in there. Y'all said that y'all weren't going to bring them back there, but y'all brought them back. Now you're bringing them back there. And Yancey said he acted like he didn't know anything about it, but they'll talk more about that next week. Anyway, Hyde Park divided over city plan to house migrants in Lakeshore Hotel. There was a meeting October. It was August 30th. Wednesday, August 30th, 2023, Hyde Parkers were divided over city plans to use East Hyde Park's Lakeshore Hotel as a temporary shelter for hundreds of migrants. Many attendees were outspoken in their disapproval of asylum seekers moving into the community, while others encouraged the neighborhood to open its arms. And the people who encouraged the neighborhood to open their arms was white people, okay, that they weren't in their community. They were in their communities, but not like how this hotel that turned to a shelter, which aka they're trying to push that as a new project. That's the goal. However, it's right across the street from Newport's condominium, and that's where Mama Doris is. That's where Mama Doris lives, and a lot of other retired seniors and elders live in that condo building. And that condo building is a historic condo building because some of the people that still are in those in the Lakeshore, the Newport condominiums were the first people to get in there when we were able to move over in Hyde Park. So a lot of Jews left Hyde Park, and many of the black teachers, police officers, professors, people, black professionals moved into Hyde Park. So the fact that they're trying to make this permanent shelter, aka make this a new project, CHA gonna come in after would have came in after 2 or 3 years to start housing it. Next thing you know, it'll be a CHA project. Because that's what they're starting to do. A lot of these Indians own these hotels. Even the one right now where the migrants are over there by Midway Hotel, Indians own that too. They own these hotels, and they're all run down, and they barely put any money in it, and get these contracts and stuff with the city because they were using the minority status, the DEI status. That's why I say I'm glad that DEI is done and over with. However, they get contracts with the city. When Lori Lightfoot was in office, this place got paid almost $1 million just to house these migrants. About 200 people gathered for the August 30th meeting. The promontory was held by Alderman Desmond Yancey, city officials. The meeting was intended to answer neighbors' shelter questions, but speakers were frequently drowned out by shouting among audience members. No migrant should come until all the homelessness in the South Side here in Hyde Park is taken care of first. Then immigrants can move in. That's what Cornell Benford said, a community member. They try and overpopulate Chicago to a point where we're not going to have enough money to support the people that's here already. We are a city of immigrants. We are a united city. Of course, Brenda Delgado said that, a Hyde Parker who coordinates a volunteer team providing aid with the migrants, aka laundering money. Because anybody that was helping the migrants, especially if they was on the Hispanic and stuff like that, they got paid. We have neighbors who are sleeping on cardboards outside of police stations. Yeah, because they don't have to. They really need to go home. The neighbors should have started going home, but because we have that executive order that somebody needs to rescind, and just none of the Disgrace 50 is talking about it. Nobody's talking about canceling that executive order, rescind that executive order, so the police can start working with ICE. But to sit here and say we had neighbors, we didn't have neighbors who were sleeping on cardboard outside. They could have went home. It was no reason why they were fleeing over here. As of August 30th, the city had planned to start moving about 300 men, women, and children into that hotel, and they did. And it was terrible. They were playing outside. Kids were playing outside barefoot. You had people standing outside. You had strollers all over. They had free parking because you got the parking lot, so they all had these cars and stuff. I done seen a Maserati come from over there. I done seen a Porsche come from over there. They was over there prostituting. It was a whole bunch of situations. It was a whole lot of situations over there in Hyde Park, right across the street from Newport. And then when you look outside, the Lakeshore, Michigan is across the street. And this is where they decided to put them. At that time, they had shelters downtown as well. They had shelter downtown, had shelter in Streeterville. They had that one in Pilsen, but they didn't have none of these shelters over there with all the people who were voting, who was fighting for this to be a sanctuary city. All the Hispanics and stuff like that. Now, they want to put them in over there because, again, Venezuela and Mexicans do not get along like that. That's why right now we see a lot of crazy crime going on right now. I mean, getting sliced and diced and with swords and all types of crazy stuff because we out here living in the wild, wild west. So that's how I met Mama Doris. Mama Doris kept speaking out about this, and then when I started doing my research to see who owned the hotel, it was this R. Patel person, and they have a contract with the city, and now they're trying to make that into a permanent shelter. With the $91 million, which doesn't make any sense because, like Curtis says, there are shelters throughout the city that have been throughout the city that need help with, they have mold in there, they have rats in there. It's not not a good. They need to be rehabbed. They need all the stuff out there. They need, like, these are actual. They're putting people in there. They're putting our people in there. That's why some people probably rather do sleep on the street or sleep under a viaduct because those are our shelters. And at that time, I mean, a lot of these shelters that were running, they were saying it was $700,000 a day to run these shelters. So if that's $700,000 a day to run these shelters, now you're going to have one initiative, whatever that means, because you still got these shelters over here. So now you're going to try to force a 750 bed shelter in a 115 hotel of 115 room hotel. That's actually Lakeshore Hotel is actually a landmark too. The fact that it turned into a shelter is disrespect. Anyway, everybody said they used to have the best breakfast. People used to go there people used to go there in the breakfast. I mean, in the morning to look at the lake and all that. So the fact that they turned it into this was just disrespectful. But the $92 million, that's money laundering. What is that $92 million going to do? What are they going to do with that? What like that? So that it has to stop. That there's no way in the world J.B. Pritzker or Mayor Brandon Johnson or Lisette Casanata, because that's the lady from the Department of Housing that he put there, that is going to allow that. Like I said, they don't talk to nobody. They don't go into the neighborhoods and talk to nobody. They just lie. They just lie and say that they have the community support and stuff like that. Who in the world wants a shelter in Hyde Park? Like what support did y'all get that from? Like who were the people that said yeah? Like what people said yeah, put that shelter, keep the yes, we want Lakeshore Hotel to be a permanent shelter in Hyde Park. We welcome that. Yeah. Like nobody supported that. But Brandon Johnson and his administration and all of them will just lie, and they're gonna continue to lie because we gotta register to vote, man. We gotta get this man up out of here. And then we got one thing. Also, he doesn't have enough votes from the school board, enough support from the school board to for that $175 pension, $750 million pension payment. Mayor Brandon Johnson's plan to have Chicago public schools cover $175 million pension payment appears to not have enough support from the school board. Chalk Beat Chicago reports 7 board members signed a letter saying that they won't vote to cover the payment, meaning the city would have to pick up the tab. The school board postponed a vote on last Thursday, March 20th. According to board president Sean Hardin, the vote was postponed because they were close to reaching a deal with the Chicago Teachers Union. However, I don't think that was the case. Okay. Yesterday, 7 members of the Chicago board reaffirmed a letter released that said they will not vote on covering a one-time pension payment to the city. And also, this blocks any attempt by Mayor, Vice Lord, Nationalist Brandon Johnson to bundle a multi-year borrowing deal and one-time pension payment with funding for the Chicago Teachers Union, which is good. And I'm going to read the letter. It says, President Hardin, dear President Hardin, we, the undersigned board members, are writing today to inform you that should a special meeting of the board be called for a vote on a budget amendment and on IGA and the MEABF reimbursement, that we affirm our vote is and will remain a no vote on the amendment and against the IGA for reimbursement of the MEABF payment with the city. We cannot in good conscience make payments towards things for which we have no sustainable means of raising revenue. As a body entrusted to govern the Chicago public schools, its teachers, staff, and students, it is important to make decisions that are in the best interest of the district and in line with our responsibilities. Any terms brought forth that suggest more borrowing and the addition of more debt to the district is not financial best practice and creates further risk to the district. It is our obligation as a sworn board members, at least they understand, sworn board members, to work to lower our debt service, consolidate our payments thereto, and work to raise our own bond rating. We do this by working to minimize debt payments and reserve as many of our precious resources for the students, teachers, and staff that serve in our classrooms. The remaining 139 million in TIF surplus from the city should support our collective bargaining agreements with the Chicago Teachers Union and the Chicago Principals and Administrators Association. We will vote yes for an amended budget that allocates this revenue solely to these two collective bargaining agreements. That said, we look forward to any briefing on the tentative bargaining agreement with the CTU before a final vote from the board. We see an opportunity to work together to create more responsible budgeting on these issues in the future and look forward to those conversations. We understand that the financial entanglements between the city and CPS are vast. As we work to de-entangle, we need to ensure that both obligations and levers around revenue generation are clear and line with the appropriate entity. For these reasons, as we consider the most effective way to disentangle obligations around the MEABF, we would like to jointly lobby with City Council and the Mayor's Office to ask members of our state legislature to place a portion of the levy committed to the MEABF within the purview and control of the Board of Education. The allocation of our limited resources is no easy task, and we will continue to require difficult decisions, but our shared vision needs to focus on setting CPS up for the future success in every way that we are able. Thank you, Board Member Jessica Biggs, Board Member Teresa Boyle, Board Member Jennifer Custer, Board Member Angel Gutierrez, Board Member Carlos Rivias. I'm sorry if I mess it up. Board Member Ellen Rosenfield, and Board Member Shay Rhinefest Smith. So yeah, that was good, and I was surprised. I saw Jessica Biggs at Pat Dowell's town hall on, I think it was Wednesday, and so it's good to see that she was one of the people that voted no, because no, he doesn't deserve anything. He does, like, I don't understand. Like, no, absolutely not. The only thing he needs to go to jail. Like, that's what he needs to do. He needs to go to jail. Um, you know, he got this $830 million bond for infrastructure. Um, and I honestly don't think it's going to any infrastructure. And we gotta be very, very, very mindful of that. Um, and I think that's why he's moving the way that he's moving, acting the way that he's acting, because that money going into his pocket. Um, and he gonna try to buy the next election. That's why he's talking about he's done 20 times more for Black Chicagoans than migrants. Is that because you're gonna try to use this $830 million and try to pay off these faith leaders in your new engagement tour that you keep going in with all these empty people? Nobody's coming to see you. I say, you'll sit down with these different faith leaders who, and honestly, the community don't even have any faith in these leaders anymore. These preachers and these pastors or any of this. Like, if William Hall is the future pastor of my generation, he's not gonna have a church for long, because like, we know he's full of S. Like, when you know you full of S, why would we go to your church? Why? You understand? So, I don't know if you guys remember February 26, 2025, when he did this. So Chicago Council narrowly approves Mayor Brandon Johnson's plan for the $830 million bond for infrastructure. Chicago City Council approved Mayor Brandon Johnson's $830 million bond, which is Chicago City Council really is a disgrace 50, because there's no way in the world this should have been approved. But however, Johnson says a significant portion of the funds will go to projects like bridge repair, replacements, and street resurfacing, sidewalk maintenance, and more. A vote on the bond, of course, it was delayed, um, but because a lot of people criticized that the bond's repayment schedule would be an interest until we would have to do an interest only payment until 2045. But he defended it, saying that every resident of the city deserves to have confidence in the roads, sidewalks, and bridges that they drive and walk on. First of all, again, $830 million is not going to take care of all the sidewalks, all the roads, and what bridge? What bridge is it going to take care of? This is, again, they steal money through all this. You understand? And right now they looking at it as like, I ain't got nothing to lose. So that money, the $830 million, that's the money that we have to follow right now. Like, we already know they done stole all that immigration money, laundering all this money. Now they're trying to make a shelter over here so they could go steal some more money. And then next thing you know, 2 years later, because he thinks that he got the next election, even though I don't know what makes him think that he has the next election, but now a lot of stuff makes sense, how the way he moving, the way he's starting to get on WVON and starting to go back on, because and saying stuff like, I spent, I spent 20 times more on Black Chicagoans than the migrant crisis is a slap in the face. Finance Committee Chair and Third Ward Alderman Pat Dow defended the proposal, writing in part in a Chicago Tribune, the idea that this bond issuance kicks the can down the road is another falsehood. In fact, the opposite is true. Deferring infrastructure maintenance only gives rise to higher costs, greater liabilities, and diminished quality of life for residents. Now, Pat Dow, I like you, Pat Dow, but you know damn well $830 is just not enough. Just like $51 million wasn't enough. Y'all not getting no money from Trump. Trump is not saving y'all at all. So I don't understand. Like, it's messing. Like, this is why we gotta vote. We gotta vote. We gotta register to vote, and we gotta vote opposite. We have to vote opposite of any of these people, like any of these people, and we got to get the Fed. It's RICO time, because all they're doing is laundering money through all this. Y'all, Pat, that $820 million is not going to do. First of all, it's not going to make it to our. It's never going to make it to our communities. That's another thing. None of this. It makes it to the pockets of the corrupt preachers, the corrupt activists that act like they're for the people. That's not. It goes into the developers' pockets. It goes into stuff like that. But it's not. It's never going to make it over to our community. It's never going to make it into our schools or anything like that. So that's good. Yeah, it's never going to make it. When my 5-year-old is 30, we will be paying $820 million over a period of 6 years on this very bond. That's what Alderman Bill Conway said. The term of the deal delay is until interest payments until 2027, and the principal is not due until 2045. We don't have, like, the man just keep getting us in more in debt and debt and debt. The total repayment will cost us $2 billion. We got to pay $2 billion because he stole $820 million so he could pay off whoever he got to pay off for this next election. Okay. And then you have 27th Ward Vice Mayor corrupt Walter Burnett say potholes will grow bigger, vacant buildings will catch on fire, light poles will fall, and bridges could deteriorate beyond repair. Light poles been falling, okay, and you barely can get paid off for a light pole. And the light pole will fall. The light pole, literally, I've seen light poles fall and hit cars. and I've seen them fight and argue to try to get their car fixed from the city. Okay? So light poles been falling. Y'all don't care about that. Vacant buildings have been catching on fire, but I don't even think they've been catching on fire. Y'all just y'all knocked down buildings that aren't vacant, like ours that wasn't vacant, so that doesn't matter. Potholes been bigger. Y'all don't care about that either. But again, $820 million is not going to take care of all of Chicago. All right. This idea, we are in a real hurry and we got it. Get this done, or this absolute and total baloney. Alderman Brendan Riley from the 42nd Ward. Absolutely. It's very total baloney. It's big baloney because, again, $820 million is not a lot of money. Opponents of the bond plan were hoping for the council to take more time to change the terms, but of course not, because they got to get that money. Okay? Now, Alderman Bill said we are just asking for a few minutes to step back and talk about this bond. Nobody talking about nothing. Nothing. They're going to do what they're going to do. Okay? They're going to do what they're going to do. It said it was tweaked to add language to make sure the money will not go to Chicago public schools to pay for teachers' contracts or pensions. Well, that was good. Now he got that little. He probably gonna try to take $175 million of that money and try to slide it over to Jackson Potter and Stacey Gates, because the Board of Education ain't going to. Thank you. I appreciate that, because no, it's RICO time. Let the feds come and talk to these people, okay? Because he said on Thursday, March, Mayor Vice Lord Nationalist Brandon Johnson likens himself to second coming of Harold Washington. Mayor Brandon Johnson on Thursday, March 20th, portrayed himself as the second coming of Harold Washington and tried to ease lingering tensions with Black American voters created by the migrant crisis. With his public approval rating being 6%, Johnson made yet another stop on his tour with Black voters whose support he needs to bounce back. So, of course, where did he go? To WVON AM 1690, that I'm starting to believe is a channel for, I don't know, delusion, like Stockholm, like y'all, like it ain't nothing good on WVON, y'all. They're lost too. That's why he decides to go. He always comes back when he knows it's getting real. Okay, so he told host McGill that he's getting ready to take a second bite at the apple. So that's why he got $820 million, because he's going to try. He's going to buy his way. He's going to try to buy this next election. Okay, that's why we have to get out here and let him know that it don't matter how much money you done stole. If you don't get locked up beforehand, because I'm trying to get you locked up, if you don't get arrested and resign beforehand, you're not getting back in office, Brandon Johnson. Nearly 40 years after the death of Chicago's first Black mayor, Harold Washington thought he was going to be a mayor for 20 years. He was setting in a new Chicago that was going to change Black Chicago. He had the vision. He felt like he was going to be around to make sure that this plan improves the lives of Black Chicagoans was going to happen. Mayor Washington died in 1987, and Eugene Sawyer took his place and kept it going for a while. But Black people got the split between Sawyer and Alderman Timothy Evans, which is one of the worst of the worst of the worst, and y'all got him up there being the chief judge of Cook County, and he is a puppet. He can't do anything. You can come in, you can show him everything that's going on in Daily Plaza, all the evidence, all of the fake signatures, everything in there, and his handlers, his white handlers will respond with an email and says that that's beyond his scope. What do you mean that's beyond his scope? You are the chief judge of Cook County, Timothy Evans, and I'm showing you all the fraud that's going on in the Daily Plaza, in the Daily Center, and you got somebody responding back saying that that's out of his scope. Like, this place is crazy. So he was trash. He shouldn't even been the fourth. He shouldn't even been the fourth ward alderman. Instead, those black communities that Harold Washington was setting the table for, the other communities got that investment. Their business grew, and we were still getting getting some of the crumbs, as we still do today. There's value in having a black mayor for a long period of time to see the vision happen. Right now, we have a second bite at this apple, and we've got to get it right. Like Harold Washington, you were trying to set the table for a long time, progress and change in Black Chicago. When Johnson says that his vision is not mischaracterized, okay, and he talked about the affordable housing units and the 29,000. He always talk about these 29,000 summer jobs that he created. I want to see the jobs he created, and I want to see the 29,000 people, the kids who got this job. Okay, he says he's creating the hundreds of carpenters union apprenticeships being set aside to establish a career path for black youth. The mayor said he claimed that vast majority of the investments in the 830 million general obligation bond issued he muscled through the city council will be made for the south and west sides. Now I thought it was for sidewalks, a bridge, um, street resurfacing, sidewalk maintenance. So also the 830 million dollars, that money's going over to the south side and west side just to fix their stuff. Nobody else. Nobody else. All right. Johnson also talked about reviving the long neglected commercial corridors and claimed Madison Street hasn't had much investment since the uprising that followed the 1968 assassination of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. We're laying the foundation that Mayor Harold Washington established. That includes things like mental health. First of all, them 3 mental health clinics, they already showed during immigration rights that those were they were giving migrant services, for people that were having migrant trauma and all that. That really was for them. I'm the first mayor since Mayor Harold Washington to reopen mental health clinics. He a liar. He's saying that he spent 20 times more to improve and repopulate South and West Side neighborhoods than he has anywhere else. The mayor said that he was grateful to stand on the shoulders of incredible leaders like Washington and Sawyer, who made it possible for me to be in this position. Of course, we're going to need more time to ensure that we not only plant these seeds, but the roots set up deeply so that it can sustain us for more generations to come. Now, he said he spent 20 times more to improve the South Side and to repopulate the South Side and the West Side. Is to repopulate putting all them illegals in our community? Was like I'm like was my thing was he trying to be funny saying that, like, because how to repopulate the South and West Side? I know on the South Side for sure you dumped all these illegals over there. So I'm confused on what he's talking about. He's been touring black churches as part of what he's calling his faith in government initiative. That's why the $820 million is basically he gonna try to buy these corrupt, weird pastors and preachers and priests, and then these weird community engagement activist people who don't do nothing for the community, or they take the crumbs. They'll take crumbs from the city or Brandon Johnson, but it's really not enough to do for what your community. I mean, what your organization describes that they do. It's not enough money really to do it because you're getting crumbs and stuff. So you only got enough to really just take care of you. So that's why it backfires and we don't never get nothing. But y'all allow it. Stop taking money from these people, especially when you know it's not going to be enough money to really fulfill what you're trying to do for the community. Because if you keep taking this little money, clearly you're not this organization is not for the people. It's for you. And they always tell you go get you a 501c3. Yeah, go ahead and go get this 501c3, and then don't never have the money to really do the goal, do whatever your organization mission is or overall goal. You can never do it because y'all be selling out for pennies. But when he go over to the white wards and talk to Deborah Silverstein ward and stuff like that, he not going to get him crumbs. He don't never get it. He not gonna get him no crumbs. He gonna give us crumbs and we gonna eat it up. All right. That's where he acknowledged he would have to clean house faster when he took office, and now plans to correct that mistake by sending people packing. If you ain't with us, you just gotta go. That was and he still got the same people. Marlene Hopkins, she needs to go. Maurice Robinson, he needs to go. Jason Leigh got to go. Your whole administration got to go, but you haven't packed them up. And then he's still gonna stand by sanctuary city law. Hell to the no, absolutely not. Now, also let's talk about Mayor Johnson taking campaign cash from lawyer whose firm has pending lawsuits against City Hall. Although legal, the campaign contributions to friends of Brandon Johnson from a prominent Loop law firm are the latest conflict of interest questions to arise with the mayor's fundraising operation. Chicago lawyer Antonio Romanucci has become one of the better known civil rights and personal injury attorneys. But you know what civil rights that is? Wrongfully convicted by the police or get shot and killed. And then personal injury attorney. That's where the money is. An ambulance chaser. Known for handling high profile lawsuits, including one that led to a $27 million settlement for the family of George Floyd after his 2020 murder, a Minneapolis cop. Locally, his Loop law firm, Romanucci and Bladen LLC, represents clients in 9 pending lawsuits against City Hall, with one of those cases involving allegations that Chicago cops framed a Southside man for the 1988 murder of a little boy. 2 other lawsuits involving the firm have been settled by City Halls since Mayor Brandon Johnson took office in May 2023. Even though Johnson's law department holds huge sway over such legal cases, often helping decide if and how to settle them, affecting bottom line for clients and Chicago taxpayers. The mayor continues to accept campaign contributions from Romanucci and other employees of his law firm. While Johnson is not supposed to accept campaign donations from city contractors under municipal ethic rules, there's no um, there's no clause on taking campaign cash from lawyers doing battle with City Hall. A founding partner of his firm, Romanucci, gave $5,000 to friends of Brandon Johnson in a contribution dated February 18th, according to Illinois State Board election records. Elizabeth Romanucci, who handles event planning for the firm, gave $1,000 in a contribution dated February 24th. Stephanie Stein, director of marketing for the firm, gave another $1,000 in the same date. Among the contributions from Chicago lawyer Antonio Romanucci to Friends of Brandon Johnson, Illinois State Board of Elections, On April 26, 2023, just after Johnson was elected shortly before he took office, Ramanucci gave the mayor's campaign another $5,000 record show. The prior month, he gave Johnson's campaign another $2,500. Around the same time, Ramanucci made contributions totaling $2,750 to United Working Families PAC, a political group that helped bankroll Johnson's campaign. Until last year, the PAC was run by Kennedy Bartley, now a top aide to Johnson at City Hall. Neither Johnson nor his campaign aides would comment. Ramanucci said in a written statement, any contributions made to individuals representing city government, including the mayor himself, represent nothing more than my individual's commitment and concerns I have for good city governance. Indeed, I've been a contributor to mayors of the city for years, and it has never interfered or been a conflict with anything my law firm does with or against the city. I take every opportunity to improve any process the city is involved with. The cases that our law firm currently has pending with the city of Chicago or Chicago Police Department named as defendants are intended to address and improve critical issues involving public safety. Our legal team has every expectation that we will conduct trials on each of those cases and that a jury of community peers will hear the evidence and determine outcome. Among the pending lawsuits against City Hall from plaintiffs being represented by Ramanucci and Blandon LLC, City of Chicago since his election, the mayor repeatedly has been subject to a conflict of interest questions over campaign money he's accepted. Um, so yeah, Ramanucci has gave nearly $50,000 in campaign money to Johnson's predecessor, former Larry Lightfoot, but Lori Lightfoot, between 2018 and 2023. His law firm donated $1,000 to the campaign fund for Rahm Emanuel, and then he donated $2,000 to Paul Vallis in March 2023. Since Johnson has took office, Ramanucci and his law firm have made roughly 100 contributions totaling more than $400,000 to a variety of political causes. They include 1,000 to 34th Ward Alderman Bill Conway, who represents part of downtown and serves as vice chairman of the city council's finance committee that votes on some legal settlements stemming from claims against city government. A City Hall spokeswoman says the Department of Law under the Corporation Council has authority to negotiate all settlements for lawsuits involving the City of Chicago. Per municipal code, settlements excess of $100,000 must be approved by City Council. Ramanucci also gave $10,000 in 2024 to the campaign fund for new Cook County State Attorney Eileen O'Byrne. In 2019, a case handled by Ramanucci's firm, a jury awarded more than $20 million to the family of an innocent woman killed in a crash as Chicago police chased a stolen vehicle on the south side in 2015. So yeah, so maybe I gotta start that's what we gotta do. Do we have to donate money to Brandon Johnson's campaign so we can get our case settled? Like, is that what we have to do? Like, like, right, right. So, I'm just saying, it's at this time he has to resign, okay, and that's what it is. He has to resign, and the feds need to come here because it's RICO time, because he knows that what he's doing is wrong, but he doesn't care, and he got a group of people that's gonna crash out with him. They like they call this administration crash out boys, because they gonna crash out. They gonna crash out all this money. Like they ready. Like they gonna like it is what it is. Um, yeah, like Yeah, we gotta really, 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 really uh get this. Like we gotta really, really start organizing and mobilizing and getting these people out of office, because he thinks that he got another term, and he's gonna pay off. He's gonna pay as many people as he can off, and that's crazy because he's not liked. You understand? Like, doesn't like you didn't even take care of two people that has been down there for a very long time. You couldn't even take care of Michael Young Bay a living situation. He gave you paperwork. He gave you a hard drive. He gave you everything to show you how the shelters are in Chicago. He asked you, could you help him find some housing for him, his wife, and his daughter? And you would not help him. You won't even settle my case. I have a city case with all the evidence, everything. You've heard everything. You've seen everything. You think you getting back in office? I don't care if you steal $1 billion. It does not matter. And I'll tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why it don't matter. Bill Conway is an alderman. He's a billionaire. His daddy, his only child, he's a billionaire. His daddy's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. It didn't matter how much money he had in his campaign. He was not beating Kim Foxx. He was not beating Kim Foxx. I heard he's trying to run for mayor. He got a lot of money to run for mayor. He's not going to win. Bill Conway don't like black people. He let alone want to talk to a black person. He can't. There's no reason why he don't. No. Mm-mm. He's the prosecutor. He didn't even want to look. He don't even want to look at anything we got going on. He don't even want to look. Yeah. So yeah, he's definitely not the one. So Brandon Johnson thinking he having the second term, he can call WVON all day. He can go to all these churches. He can pass out turkeys. He can do whatever he wants to do. My case is not settled. He's not taking care of the South Side. He's not talking about this shelter that he knows about that they're trying to put over here in Hyde Park, because he doesn't care about the South Side. He does not care about the South Side of Chicago at all. Okay, he doesn't care how it is, and these house ninjas over here on the South Side that he's talking to, which is only these pastors and stuff. Yeah, these pastors and these raggedy community activists that's over here. Not all of them, but some of them. Some of them are raggedy. So and soft. So and will kiss his butt. You understand? Like the ones who be like pressed and take a photo with him. Them type of people. Yeah, those are the. And it's not that many people. When he has any type of event, no one shows up. No one shows up at all. So all I know is that he got to go to jail. He don't care about the South Side. He has a lion spirit on him. He's a vice lord naturalist, according to his peoples. He doesn't know how to govern. And yeah, it's gonna our city of Chicago gonna continue to go down, because all he does is say the same thing over and over again. Yeah, he's dangerous to Chicago. He always said the same thing, that has supported and expanded the One Summer Chicago program, which provides summer jobs and internships for youth age 14 and 24. However, that's not true. Um, then he talked about him reopening the mental health clinics. Then he always talks about him um, teaming up with communities, partnering for peace, and Chicago cred. And they're not doing anything, and they don't have any real economic opportunities. The Bring Home Chicago thing, then it failed with Lori Lightfoot and him because any homeless initiative here is money laundering. They don't care about cleaning up the homeless. If they clean up the homeless, then they won't have another grip. The Democratic Party won't have another grift to use. So that's not going to happen. And him pushing this shelter and not speaking about it over here shows you another reason why he doesn't care about the South Side. He has prioritized everybody else but Black Chicagoans in Chicago. So to sit here and say that he has done 20 times more for Black Chicagoans and the migrants is crazy, because we all know that's not true, and that's why you were over there. That's why you had to go to D.C. To answer to Comer for the government oversight when it came to the handling of sanctuary cities. Like, you stole a lot of money, Brandon Johnson. Your administration you still stealing money. You think you're gonna ride out with the old criminals in Chicago, of the old criminals that's in there? They criminals too. Everybody about to get it. So I guess y'all gonna just take as much money as y'all need because y'all gonna need it for some lawyers. Matter of fact, Ramanucci and Bladen LLC probably gonna have to represent all y'all, because y'all going to jail. Like, for real. Lori Lightfoot, they're gonna investigate Lori Lightfoot. They're going to investigate Ron Manuel. They're going to investigate you. They're going to investigate your administration. They're going to investigate CTU. Even now with CTU, with Chicago Fire Department Union teaming up with CTU, y'all might as well strike. Like, y'all should have strike. There's no way in the world. Why would you team up with CTU? CTU need y'all. Y'all don't need CTU. The firefighters deserve a contract. They've been fighting for this contract for a long time. And Brandon Johnson does not care about y'all. Does not care about y'all at all. He's trying to focus on CTU, but at the end of the day, he ain't gonna be able to do much for CTU either because everybody watching. So the firefighter department and the man who's head of the union, you need to separate yourself from CTU. And yeah, y'all need to. I understand they say by law you can't strike, but does it matter about law anymore? Because none of these people are following the law. Brandon Johnson is not following the law when it comes to paying y'all. He don't care about that contract at all. So yeah, okay. I think everybody should strike. Honestly, everybody need to strike. Like, at this point in Chicago, because he's not going to get no. The feds ain't Trump ain't giving Chicago nothing. He not giving Illinois nothing. And Pritzker, what Pritzker gonna do? Pritzker gonna fund all of Illinois? He ain't gonna be able to do that. Like, this is bad. That's why all this crime is all over the place. My man said he spent 20 times more on Black Chicagoans than the migrants. If that was the case, you would have police on every block where you took shot spotting. Just like when all 15 people got shot, and then It was, and kids start going down to Streeterville and start harassing them people down in Streeterville and acting the fool, and then somebody got shot down there. Now you got police officers at the Whole Foods, the Target, the AMC, the Walgreens. You got them walking up and down Streeterville. But over where we are, where you took Shot Spotter out, we don't have anything. You don't have no police right there. Matter of fact, you didn't even speak out and talk about the 13-year-old that was found in the alley. You didn't even say nothing about that. But you spent 20 times more on Black Chicagoans than the migrants. And y'all be eating it up. Y'all be eating it up. This man is criminal. And I don't know if they say he was having panic attacks in the beginning, but I don't even know if that's that. I don't know. I don't even know if he having panic attacks. I just don't think he cared. I don't think he cared, and I think that he's confident enough that he thinks that he is going to get another term. Like, he really, really thinks that he is going to buy this next election. Like, hey, 38. It's been 38 Brandon bodies. But it took, what, Alderman Brian Hopkins to call you to say, then white people going to start moving out downtown? Because they was already moving out when you put that shelter, when you let Andre Vasquez run that shelter over there in Streeterville, when they had all the Modelo bottles and stuff outside, and the kids running around with no shoes on. You telling them, you seeing them screaming and stuff like that, but they don't speak English. So it was all crazy. You had the 7-Eleven right there, owned by the Indians. Well, yeah. Yep, 2 illegal immigrants found dead in Inglewood. Yeah, and you was going to put a permanent 750 bed shelter in 115 hotel in East Park, in High Park, across from Lake Michigan. You going to put all illegals over there. Just say the F with High Park. Screw all the history over there. Dick Gregory used to live over in High Park. The man, what's his name? Richard Roundtree? Did Richard Roundtree live in High Park? Yeah, Richard Roundtree and his wife and kid lived in. His wife and kids lived in High Park. Everybody lived in High Park. High Park is beautiful. 53rd Street. This is crazy. You think you're gonna put illegals over there permanently, and not gonna talk to no, and y'all gonna all lie. All y'all aldermen do is lie. And Muhammad Ali lived in High Park. All y'all gonna do is lie and say that the community was okay with this. Yeah, the community was okay for making it permanent this time. Mama Doris moved all the way to the other side. She went down. She couldn't take it no more. She literally went and bought a house on the Gulf of Mexico because she could not see that anymore. The Gulf of America. She could not see that anymore. And y'all thinking that, and you saying that the community, the community is okay with this shelter being right here across from Lakeshore, Michigan. Yeah, they can see the views of Lakeshore, Michigan. And then when they turn to the right, they see the Newport condominium. It is Lake Michigan too, right there. Yeah, Lake Michigan is right there. Lakeshore Drive is right there. But I'm saying, this is what you're looking at. Like, that is disrespectful. I bet they're not gonna open up that street. I bet that Streeterville, the end of Chicago, I bet they was not gonna never make that a permanent shelter. Them white people wasn't gonna have it. Them white people was not going to have it. What's the other one that they had that was downtown? That one too. That one they weren't going to have that either. Start with an S. I can't think of it, but yeah, they weren't going to allow that to be a permanent one. The one in Pilsen where the boy died, the young boy died of measles. They weren't going to make that a permanent one, but you're going to make a permanent one right over there in Hyde Park. Y'all trying to take Inglewood, Washington Park, South Shore, Auburn Grisham, and these idiots that are in office are going to let you do it. Uh, yeah, I don't. Well, yeah, I don't. It's just ridiculous. So, yeah, it's a terrible thing. However, any questions? No. All right. Well, thank y'all all for coming. Please like and subscribe. Please contact your disgraced 50 aldermen and tell them that y'all are not voting this man back. I mean, y'all are not voting for them, and you're not voting for this man. Voting for this man, and it's RICO time. Okay, and it's RICO time. Um, and yeah, we gotta start going to these meetings. Y'all need to start going to y'all town halls. Y'all need to start asking these aldermen questions because I'm trying to tell you, they think that we are misinformed, and we aren't misinformed. We're not misinformed at all. Okay? But y'all got to be more active. Y'all need to start asking questions. You need to start pulling up to these meetings that they have because they had these meetings and there's not nothing in there. Nothing on there. Yeah. So, yeah. But thank you. Peace.